There's something that this government is doing that we are trying very hard not to push the conversation towards MPP and NDC. It hasn't gotten there yet. Now it is NDC government versus the farmers. It is the NDC government versus the farmers. And that's why we are trying very hard to resist that temptation. Otherwise, this NDC government, who is talking about debt, is largely responsible for the cocoa board debt. Why? Because you remember this government took a syndicated loan of 1.8 billion in 2016. And by the time they were leaving office, by 30th December, the entire $1.8 billion had been squandered by them without supplying the cocoa. In fact, $400 million was spent between December 7th and 30th December. When the previous government, Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, inherited this, did you hear them complaining and saying that because of that they will reduce prices? Do you remember that somewhere 2017, 2018, the international price for cocoa dropped? At the time when Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo and the MPP were supposed to use the same excuse to reduce the cocoa price from 475 downwards. They didn't do it. They maintained it. How do you think they managed to do it? Now, the debt that the NDC government left with the $1.8 billion syndicated loan that they squandered in 2016 without supplying the cocoa beans, how was the government able to deal with that one? The government then had to borrow. The MPP government had to borrow to be able to make up for that $1.8 billion syndicated loan that they took and squandered. Let me remind you again, you know one of the reasons why the NDC CEO, Mr. Opuni, has been in court includes some procurement issues, excess procurement, some fertilizers and chemicals that they bought and they couldn't use. Which books do you think those costs were set on? Is it not the cocoa board books? Let me also remind you that the NDC government keeps talking about cocoa roads and the debt. Who introduced cocoa roads? Was there anything called cocoa roads until the NDC brought cocoa roads in 2015, 2016? They left the cocoa roads debt at cocoa board. The MPP government came to meet that debt. The fact of the matter is that there has never been an occasion in our history that the cocoa board doesn't have debt. And the current debt that they speak of is not just an MPP debt. It is a debt that has rolled over from their time, a debt that they set in sale, which they have come to inherit. Now, think about this. This same debt were there in 2024, isn't it? And yet, in 2024, Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo and the MPP managed to give cocoa farmers 3,100 Ghana cedis in the presence and in the midst of the debt. The debt were there. The NDC finance minister now was the ranking member on the finance committee, knew about the debt. The NDC agric minister now was a ranking member on agric, knew about the debt, and yet they said they could, in spite of the debt, give cocoa farmers 6,500 Ghana cedis. Indeed, when they came to office in 2025, if you recollect, they increased cocoa prices twice. The first one by 128 Ghana cedis, and the second one by about 400 and something Ghana cedis, which took cocoa price from 3,100 to 3,600. Were the debt not there? So when you hear the NDC government try to deflect the conversation using debt, throw it into the